Hi, everybody. Hi, Franz. Today in Line by Line, we are analyzing a very special song, which I will let Franz to introduce.
Special song by SOEN, published in 2021, called Illusion. And I guess all I really know about SOEN is that they're a Swedish progressive metal band. And kind of like the song, and I chose it because when Nodrik asked me to choose a song, I was feeling a little sad about things not going right, and so I chose a song about things not going right. It's a little sad.
It's an excellent choice.
It's a choice.
Okay, so we will analyze it stanza by stanza. Here we are, blaming failure on the other. Here we are, waiting to depart. Do we care just enough to aid our brother? Do we care enough to cease the harm? Okay, you go first. What do you project on this line?
What do I project on this line? So, man, that's a really personal question. I thought I was just going to talk about the lyrics. Yeah, so like I just kind of thought of a bunch of times where I've seen people sort of try something and it not working out. And then instead of jointly exploring why it didn't work out, either both parties or sometimes like in a group of people, someone will decide it was some other person's fault, and they'll just throw arguments about why that person is to blame. And I think the band is sort of pointing to a political context where that's common as well, but on a more personal level, like that dynamic of let's not actually try to figure out all the complicated ways in which we all participated in this making go wrong. Let's decide one person or one group of people is to blame and make arguments about why absolutely it is the case that they're completely to blame for things going wrong and no one else is to blame in any way.
Yeah. Well, the moment I read the lyrics, I immediately had personal context in mind where people would be in an argument, but because they don't see blame in each other, in themselves, they would blame the other person instead of just like asking, what happened? Why is this happening right now? And like, high five. No, good-natured conversation thingy. Yeah, but I guess when anger gets involved, or in case of the song, I can a little bit kind of imagine what the band meant because I have seen the video, and they did it in the context of war conflict. And here they have, do we care just enough to aid our brother? Do we care enough to cease the harm? And it's hard because if you're a soldier and you had been given an order, caring to cease the fire is not enough somehow. Like
Yeah,
you will get punished for caring somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people are in tough situations where like caring is not an option. Even there are stories of war heroes who saved the lives of the enemy, taking prisoners instead, but generally that's a difficult thing to do because taking care of prisoners is hard, and it's like, yeah, it takes more skill and more resources to take prisoners rather than to harm them, and even prisoners get harmed. I'm thinking of a different song about I was just thinking of a different song. I'm not talking about that song right now. But they do ask the question, like, do we care twice? I don't know, it makes me think that like the band isn't seeing the care that they might expect to be seeing. So the first one is like, is the only care we have left for our brothers? And then do we care enough to cease the harm? Is maybe like, is there care at all? Like, is there even care for our brothers?
Yeah, but only if you will remove the line about brothers, but keep the line, we blame each other. Do we care enough to stop it? Like that's one fully projected.
Well, brother rhymes with other, but I think that's the vibe they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
I was also interested by this, awaiting to depart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like sort of already having given up on making things work and just waiting for it to end and go our separate ways.
Oh, so the only thing is left is care. And so the care would stop us from departing?
I don't know. I think they're asking, like, do we care? Because they're maybe not seeing it. So maybe the care isn't there.
There was this stand-up comedian, Tom Arnold, I think. He said, the only time you find out if you actually had a good relationship is when it ends. And then you will know if it was good or bad for you. Because during it, everything is a routine. You take things for granted. But when it ends, then you know what it actually was.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah. Hashtag Tom Arnold.
I think good relationships keep evolving. So in some sense, they keep ending and keep starting as something new. Maybe a bit of that. Shall we do the next stanza?
Sure, yeah, read.
With every step we take, we get further away from everything we need to reach harmony. For all of us who won't linger on to pretend, and everyone who follows their dreams.
I mean, that one gets personal to me. I cannot, like, I hardly see it through the context of war as the band intended. But maybe it is what it is, right? All general conflicts are conflicts between actual human beings, their hearts and stuff. Every step we take, we get further away. It means we are making sure we are stepping further from each other. Because the harmony is reached when we would go towards each other. So here, instead of blaming the other side, he uses the word we. We both do that. So there is this unity that is implied. For all of us who won't linger on to pretend, and everyone who follows their dreams. I guess the aim of those lines was for people who still dream, I guess. That cracks me up because I have seen the video, and at the end there was this little girl with the box. Spoiler alert.
It doesn't spoil anything, but that's a heartbreaking moment at the end.
Yeah. Watch the video, guys. I will provide the link below.
I like the pointing to those of us who won't linger on to pretend. There's a way in which one can sort of just ignore the fact that people have drifted apart and that there isn't any harmony left between people. You just kind of pretend like, oh, well, just soldier on. But for people who want things to be real and who allow themselves to dream of like something better, this sense of trying to move forward, and whenever one tries to move forward, it sort of feels like one goes further away from each other and make things worse. I think that's what they're pointing to.
But what do you think about the line about following dreams? That it's aimed for everybody who follows their dreams.
Yeah, so, well, there's two parts to following dreams. First of all, you still have to be dreaming. And some people do things to avoid dreaming.
Mm.
And there are practices you can do to increase the frequency of your dreams and how much you remember. So some people can deliberately dream. But then there's deliberately dreaming, and then there's taking your dreams seriously,
Mm.
and acting on them and following them. So dreaming literally, like sort of the hallucinations one gets when one takes a nap or sleeps, or sometimes one can hallucinate just daydreaming. But I think like poetically often dreams are sort of linked to plans and hopes and desires. It's a common interpretation of the purpose of dreams from Freud. It's a very old sort of connotation of what dreams are for. I think more modern neuroscience interpretations interpret dreams as memory consolidation, sort of building episodic memories, but in poetry often it still has this Freudian aspect of desires and hopes, and your hopes and dreams, your desires for the future. So I'm not sure, if I had to guess, I think the person who wrote this used dreams with that sort of connotation of desires and hopes and visions of the future. So people who want to be real and not pretend things are okay, who want to sort of pursue their authentic desires and hopes and dreams for the future. For those people, it can often feel like everything they do to do that drives them further apart from the people they love.
I know dreams as two aspects of our subconsciousness. One thing, we dream of the things we desire and want to achieve. And the other one, we are coping with what actually is going on through kind of symbolism. Like, for example, when I dream that I can't move further, that I'm stuck somewhere, I try to run, but I can't. In my actual life, it would mean I stuck on a problem and can solve it. Yeah, so it's always symbolism, and our brain builds the neural passages using those while we're asleep. I don't know how correct it is, but I'm pretty sure everything about dreams is still a subject for debate. They're still analyzing. There is no actual true answer to what it is. Everything is still hypothesis.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Next line. Run away from the weights that keep you cornered. Find a way to take back what is yours. And we're depending on each other. While divided, we won't hear the call.
Yeah, there's like many scenarios and even times in my life where I've felt cornered and felt that either people were trying to take from me things that weren't theirs to take away from me, or there was something I was due that I was not getting. And sort of getting frustrated that fighting maybe for what to protect what I have might not work, so I might want to run away. Sometimes fighting works, so fighting for it. But the way those first two lines land with me is as almost as a follow-on on the last two lines of the previous stanza. Like for everyone who won't pretend and for everyone who still dreams, for those people, here's a bit of sort of encouragement. Run away from the things that keep you cornered and find a way to take back what's rightfully yours. It's almost like a condoning moving away from things that are bad for us and fighting for our rights. Although they say find a way to take back what is yours, but that take back is sort of an aggressive thing. Don't say fight. And then you and I were depending on each other. While divided, we won't hear the call. It seems to point to the need for sort of cooperation and taking responsibility, and it makes the fact that, like, for you and me to find harmony being more difficult makes it more sad, because we need this harmony, because we're dependent on it, and if we don't have it, if we're divided, there's a call we won't hear. And the thing I think about that call is like sometimes there are I guess the word I want to use is like plans that seem so obviously the right thing to do that it feels like one is pulled into doing that thing at that time, as if one's soul is called to do something. And it's I think a very common metaphor to follow one's calling as well. I think that links back to the last line in the previous stanza about people who follow their dreams. So the call can also be like a voice that tells you to do something in your dreams, if it's a literal dream. Sometimes it's voices that pop in as thoughts in your head to do things. But they're indicating that that sort of being in touch with sort of those sorts of voices require a sort of social harmony. They need they need people to be together, and if there's too much conflict and discord, it becomes difficult or impossible to tap into those higher voices calling us to do what we need to do.
Well, I think that the things that make us stuck, we need to recognize in order to achieve our dreams. We need to depend on each other. That's what I read into those lines. And yeah, it's always easier somehow to be stuck in an imaginary loop than to actually get out of the corner. Yeah, depending on each other is harder because we generally in this century we are isolated, and we learn to only trust ourselves, and those social bonds, they are not created the same way. So actually the advice depend on each other is harder at the moment because the camaraderie is lost. Like camaraderie is felt only through like actually imaginary wars or actual wars, achieving goals together. Yeah.
So I was just thinking maybe it refers or it's related all the way back to the first stanza when we say, do we care enough to cease the harm? And typically when people are feeling separated or disconnected and hurt, they will do some form of cry. But because like just bawling is not something that people do in polite conversation, often they cry out to each other in subtly disguised ways. But when people are too divided and when there isn't enough harmony, people can fail to hear the call that we're moving apart.
Yeah. I agree with that, actually.
Right, do the next one then. Where do I heal when the river runs dry? How do I sweeten the bitter? A word decides our fate, and our silence condemns.
Well, now he's asking for the other person to give any sign from the other side. Like, what's your point of view? Where? How? And he even asks the world, which I think is destiny and synchronicity thing. Our silence condemns. So the moment he starts asking questions, the silence breaks. So the worst thing you can do is keep the actual silence. Like he asks the fate. I don't know. But I do see it as a desperate call for clarity somehow at some point. Like, I made my move. Like, what's your move? That's the thing. Yeah. What do you think?
Yes, you pointed out to him changing to asking questions. And that made me think like the only other questions he's asked so far are, do we care? And so that actually changed the way I hear about this. So first I thought like, yeah, if a person is wounded, they would want to know how to heal those wounds and how to soften the pain. It makes sense that care actually does soften pain and can heal wounds. That's what care is for. So it's like a different way to ask, if I'm wounded, where do I heal? Do I heal from you? Do you care enough to help heal my wounds? If I'm hurting, can I get relief from my hurt from you? He doesn't say it specifically from you. He says like where.
Yeah, any clarity.
Yeah, I'm reading that into by relating it to the do we care. I like since you asked like do we care, he probably would include himself in there, because one of the things we can do is we can care for ourselves. So it's might not just be like if I'm wounded, like this seems to be a person like if I'm emotionally wounded, like where in the world, anywhere, can I get the care I need to heal? And yeah, you pointed out to him pointing to what, well, it seems like fate decides. There's no, I can't decide where I get care from, and no one else seems to be deciding. It's like, seems to be an arbitrary matter of luck whether I get my wounds healed or my bitter sweetened. What you said makes sense, and what the author says makes sense as well. If what you're looking for is care or like healing, and you ask for people and they kind of give you a cold silence, like a cold shoulder, that cold shoulder almost says like you are not deserving of the healing or the care.
Yeah.
So like just silence can condemn, like passive aggressive goodness is a thing. It's a thing.
so bad at passive aggressive thing. I would lose every time. Yeah. Like I'm the person who immediately answers anything. Like I never like, oh, there's a message. Let me hold it and not answer it. I was like, I would type in the answer just at once. It's because like passive aggressive seems to me not taking action and let the silence do the work. And it seems harmful. Like, I don't know.
No, it is called passive aggression
For a reason. But okay, there was something that stood out for me as you were talking. Okay, a word decides our fate. A word. Like, what word can decide our fate? What would be that word that would decide our fate? Hi. Was it that one who breaks the silence? Like imagine that word just written in a desert, a person walking through endless sands and feeling all this solitude and abandonment inside, no water anywhere, just heat of the sun. And then there is an oasis, but instead of water and anything, just words high written in there. Still gives hope, right? Like breaks you out of the kind of loneliness pattern that you're in. Because hi would mean there was somebody else before you, and there was somebody else who cared enough to say hi.
A word that came up in the music video was resist. They take shelter in some kind of abandoned building. They're in a war-torn area where most everything seems abandoned. So it's just find a place where they can hide and take shelter. And on the wall, there's graffiti that says resist.
Oh yeah, that was it. There was a flag with a sign that stood out to me. What was this sign? Like it looked like kind of squiggles to me. Was it a sign of resistance?
I can't remember it clearly. I thought it was a S that was lying on its side. I remember the sign vaguely, but like now when I'm trying to recall it, it's like a Superman S on its side.
Yes, like a Superman down sign.
Superman is having a little nap today.
Yes. Our resistance is Superman sleeping.
Well, that actually kind of was.
Would you give us what is left of your time? Give yourself up for the others. The choices are your own, but the failure we will share. Yeah, what do you think?
So the choices are our own, but the failure we will share. I mean, we've talked about free time and the value of time, and people sort of waste the time or allow other people to waste the time and not protect their time and stuff. But it's like giving your life to someone if you give them your time. And it's really painful, like painful, like the silence is painful when someone doesn't have time for you ever. When you're not worth someone's time. Man, I'm making myself feel bad. So yeah, so the author is like, would you give us the little bit that's left of your time? Or would you give yourself up for others? And then I've done a lot of study in decision making, so I like it whenever choices or decisions come up. And the author is here saying like, yeah, we make our own choices, but we're all making our own choices, but then the end result is that we share a broken thing. And I don't want to get too technical, but I am getting technical. There's a tragedy of the commons in game theory where if people do what's good for them, and everybody does that, like everybody loses. So there's a need to coordinate decision making that if it doesn't happen, then yeah, we're all doing our thing and doing us, but then we all suffer as a result of that. I think that links up to the overall theme of the song quite well with every step that we take, we get further away from the harmony we need to be okay. So the steps that we take, I think, are related to these choices that we make. That's what comes up for me.
And the line us, would you give us? Us meaning the partnership, no? The thing that we are together. Or is it for the others? Like the freedom, hashtag freedom. Failure, we will share. Like our decisions will result in common failure. Yeah, I think what he's pointing at in the entire lyrics is the unity. Except that's one line others, but generally it's always we and us. And that stands out to me. He keeps fighting for the unity. It's beautiful.
And in the video, there's the older brother or the dad. I'm not sure. If it's an older brother, it's a very much older brother. It could also be a dad, but if it's a dad, it's a young dad.
Yeah.
That eventually leaves the younger sister or the girl to presumably go resist. So giving himself up for the others for the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not like when listening to the person sing, it doesn't sound like those two lines are saying opposite things. Like the tone of voice sounds like he's saying the same thing, which may just be the way he's singing it. But like, would you give your time to us or would you give it to the others? The way you describe it seems like two opposite choices. It's like reading it actually, yeah, it makes sense that those would be opposite choices. But it's interesting that singing it, he sings it as if it's the same thing.
That's because the one who wrote the lyrics probably was not the one who is singing it.
That's possible. Or maybe it's just not the best singing performance. Judge people for their singing.
I think singers are shy with the emotions. So
who isn't shy with their emotions? Singers are like among the most expressive people.
Yes, they are, but they always show what they want to perform to others. But the truth is very deep hidden. A lot of singers are actually introverts. So probably it was written as the opposite, but then he on purpose sang it in a monotone voice so that he doesn't reveal parts of his soul. That's why it's in the lyrics, not in the actual performance, right?
Yeah, so next stanza. This one is the most political one. That's going to be I guess the most difficult to relate personally, unless we're maybe thinking dads or bosses or something. But the man in charge is announcing that he'll be the one who saves the earth and feeds the poor. And when that promise is broken, the next in line with the same lies will claim the throne.
Yeah, I have nothing to project onto it at all, except it's in every country. It's all over. Everybody who goes into power it's usually the same type of person, and that's why it repeats itself. The same type of person going and giving promises, having the same structure, the same play, same acting. Usually some populists think that he's riding on to get into power. And that's what he repeats in here, I guess. That's what I project.
I have something to project on it. I sometimes have often had conversations with like engineering people and business people, and they often dream about sort of making it big, making a whole lot of money, and then making the world a better place, saving the earth and feeding the poor. Oh, we just have to create this app and we're going to make so much money and then we'll make everything right. So I've sometimes thought that the people who make those promises, I think some of them that seem the most sincere may actually be sincere and not know that it's not possible to keep those promises.
For every step he takes, we get further away from finding what we need to reach unity. With every word he says, he condemns who we are, depriving us from reaching our dreams. Yeah.
So this is I want to say the second part in the song, but I can't remember where the other part is that I'm thinking now. When now the author is blaming the other. So it used to be like, we're blaming the other and we're doing this and we're taking steps, it's not breathing harmony. And now even the author is like, yeah, it's the man in charge who's depriving us our dreams and who's condemning us and stopping us from reaching unity. So I don't know if that's on purpose, sort of implicating, like sort of showing, like, see, this is what we're doing that's not helping, or what that is, if it's like a reverse psychology trick, or if it's just the person genuinely saying, well, yeah, the man in charge is also at fault. So we're at fault for the choices we're making, and we're at fault for the steps we take in going further away. But also the people in charge are at fault in condemning us and stopping us from finding unity and depriving us of dreams.
I just imagined it would be a person with a split personality. Like, imagine if it's a partnership and there is one guy trying to fix a thing that is breaking, but then he switches to his alter ego that breaks stuff. And then he's like, for every step he takes, we get further away from finding what we need to reach unity. With every word he says, he condemns who we are. Like, you know, he blaming everything to his alter ego, like the morning version of him. Actually, I knew a guy who was intermorniac. I think he had a bipolar thingy. In the mornings, he would be completely horrible. And then in the evening, he would be a sweetie. Yeah, and he was like, oh, morning me, he messed up, let me fix it. That's the thing. Yeah, what do you think?
I don't think this author is a split personality, although it may be more than one person who wrote the song.
Same author, but morning version and the evening version. The evening version watched the news and added a bunch of stuff to hide what he actually means. Yeah, but imagine, just imagine, entertain the idea that the author knows what are the common problems with people, and the common problems would be with relationships, but he would like to fix global problem, so he would be like making lyrics appealing personally, triggering personal issues, but then like boom, here's the political stuff you should care about. That one I read into the entire song. Also video.
There's a bit of a, like, it goes political closer to the end only. Like, so we've been reading it like very personally in relationship, but yeah, so it could be. I don't think that's what happened. You could read it though.
Did anything new kind of called to you after that analysis in that song? Did you see any new side to it?
Yeah, so the thing that changed the most for me that was new was reading the call, or hearing while divided we won't hear the call. Reading that differently.
Oh.
So I was on my own, I was reading it as calling, and after hearing you talk about it, I was seeing it as a separation call, like a cry.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I can remember now. I think at a couple of places I told you that, like, hearing you talk made me think about it a bit different.
Thank you so much for introducing me to that band and that beautiful song. Thank you for your free time, which is accidentally the sponsor of this podcast. And yeah, I will provide links in the description to this video, how you can find Franz and just hang out with him and talk to him. He's available on Discord. Yeah. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Very serious, deep song. Very hard subject. Yeah.
Well, if someone asked you, like, where do I heal when the river runs dry? How do I sweeten the bitter? And you tell them no, and you walk away, that would be pretty brutal.
That's the word that decides. Okay, but what imagine? Where do I heal where the river runs dry? How do I sweeten the bitter? Hi. Like, instead of Superman dead, Superman having a nap, you would be high.
Yeah, because H is all straight and I is straight, so
yeah, I know.
You figured out the solution to the problem this song is pointing to. People just need high.
Yes. Oh my God, it sounds like high. Okay. Sorry, unrelated laughter. Projection, guys.
I don't actually know if I want to give an honest answer to, like, what do I project
well,
on the
it's like art. Dude, like, imagine you're on stage, you present the audience with the thing you want them to know,